What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. Got another Week 1 preview and prediction video up for you. And today, we're going to be talking about Game of the Year potential. It's the 5th-ranked LSU Tigers versus the 8th-ranked Florida State Seminoles, an early top 10 showdown in Orlando, Florida. This was a phenomenal game last year that didn't get the hype it deserves. Well, it's getting the hype it deserves this year. This is going to be one of the best games played all year long. But before we dive into my preview prediction, just want to say thank you guys so much for the support the channel has seen as of late. Continue to help grow my channel. Subscribe, ring the bell so you know when videos get uploaded. But there are more ways than that to help me support my channel. You guys are doing one right now by watching the video, and you guys gladly can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, anything else you guys are willing and able to do to help me support my channel. I will greatly appreciate. So let's dive into this Week 1 prediction video. The LSU Tigers and Florida State Seminoles, I believe, played in New Orleans last year. Game that really just didn't get the hype that it deserved. And this year, it is. Both these teams are coming off what many were to say, at least coming into the season last year. Surprise season. Both these teams maybe exceeded preseason expectations. And this year, well, the college football playoff is talking for both of these teams. Let's go ahead and take a look at some stats from last season after a quick water break. All right, let's talk about this LSU offense. They did pretty much everything right. Led by Jaden Daniels, this was a very good offensive unit last year. 35 points per game, just about 34.5 if you want to be technical about it. They were 49% on third down, over 450 yards per game. They could run the ball. They could throw the ball. They protected the football for the most part. Again, they definitely had their moments. But what the LSU Tiger team needs to focus on offensively this season is protecting the quarterback. Now, 45 sacks allowed by this team last year. That number definitely is a little bit skewed. Jaden Daniels often would try to get out of the pocket, create something out of nothing, and pay for it and get tackled behind the line, which goes as a sack. So, this is definitely an LSU Tiger team that's going to need to do a little bit of a better job protecting the quarterback, but Jaden Daniels also cannot get caught lacking on the outside. Now, speaking of him, he's got a lot of solid talent around him. Josh Williams, Noah Kane, Logan Diggs in the running back room, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Kyron Lacey, a couple of freshmen and transfers coming in to this wide receiver room as well. It's an offense that's loaded with talent. I just want to see that defensive, I really just want to see that offensive line improve and get better in pass protection. That's the big thing I want to see out of LSU's offense this year. Defensively, again, this was a really good unit last year. It probably will be again in 2023. 22.5 points per game, just over 350 yards allowed, still a very good mark. They were able to generate pressure, getting almost 2 sacks per game, held opponents to only 39% on third down conversions, forced 20 turnovers on the year, and you got possibly the best defensive player in America in Harold Perkins to lead this defense that has a lot of transfers coming in. Jordan Jefferson, Ovi Oghufo, Omar Spates, Zy Alexander, Deuce Chestnut, Andre Sam, J.K. Johnson, who unfortunately is hurt right now, but pair that with some guys that are coming back like Greg Brooks, Major Burns, Mekhi Wingo, Savion Jones, and Mason Smith. This is an absolutely loaded defensive unit. More on Mason Smith in a minute. Actually, I'll talk about it right now. The NCAA has suspended him for prior benefits that he got before NIL was legalized, a decision that I just don't agree with at all. But again, that's a conversation for another day. Still, even without Mason Smith, this is a loaded defensive unit that's going to give this FSU offense some trouble. But the only problem for LSU's defense is that FSU's offense is going to be one of the most experienced in the country, and they did it really, really well last season. 36 points per game, almost 500 yards per game. They ran the ball, threw the ball with great effectiveness, over 51% conversion rate on third downs last year. Only 20 sacks allowed. They protected the football with only 14 turnovers. That was an average of just over 1 per game. And again, FSU definitely had their moments where they couldn't hold on to the football, couldn't protect the quarterback last year. But all in all, again, a very experienced unit. Jordan Travis is leading this attack yet again. He is going to be absolutely phenomenal for this team this year. A Heisman Trophy contender, much like Jaden Daniels is for the LSU Tigers. Jordan Travis is an absolutely exceptional weapon that can run the ball, that can throw the ball. He is electric. Got a great group of running backs, even with Trayshawn Ward gone. Trey Benson, Lawrence Toafili, Keziah Holmes, and others. And this is just going to be a problem room for any secondary that Florida State has to play in the wide receiver and tight end room. Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, Winston Wright, Kentron Poiter, and the tight end, and Jaheim Bell, a former South Carolina transfer as well. This is just a loaded offense. They did it really effectively last year. Most key pieces are coming back. Got a couple transfers coming in on the offensive line. But hey, they bring even more experience over to this offense. And it's going to be an experienced defense as well. Again, they beat LSU in a lot of statistical categories last year. They were better statistically on third down defense. While they didn't force as many turnovers, hey, they generated a ton of sacks, a ton of pressure, led by the big boy up front, Jared Verse. You got other guys like Fabian Lovett, Patrick Payton, Braden Fisk is a transfer coming into this program. The linebacking unit is Tatum Bethune, Kalen Deloach, very good linebacking unit, and a secondary that's going to rival anyone that Florida State plays this year, and they are punishing. Fentrell Cypress is a transfer coming over from Virginia, and a ton of other senior experience there as well. Akeem Dent, Renardo Green, Jarian Jones, Greedy Vance. There's just a ton of talent offensively, defensively for this Florida State team. When I take a look at this matchup right here, Florida State and LSU and Florida State are both going to be some of the best teams the country has to offer this season. And when I take a look here, Florida State definitely has the experience edge, but LSU may overall have the talent edge as well. So definitely a very interesting debate to have as now we get into my what to watch for. These are some things to watch for as you are watching this game. Let's start out with the LSU Tigers, and I've already mentioned it earlier in this video. Jaden Daniels cannot get caught lacking. If he's going to try to make plays, if he's going to try to scramble out of the pocket, this is the Florida State defensive front seven, defensive front six, whatever you want to call it. That is very, very versatile, very, very fast, very, very agile. Jaden Daniels needs to be able to get rid of the football quickly. He needs to be able to make reads quickly, and I believe in Jaden Daniels. I absolutely believe he can get that done, and he's got enough talent around him to be able to help him out. But a lot of that also falls on the offensive line too. The offensive line has got to improve to not let Jaden Daniels get hit and not let Jaden Daniels get caught behind the line of scrimmage. Let's move over to the defensive end for the LSU Tigers, as even with the aforementioned Mason Smith out of the game due to an NCAA suspension, again, that's a conversation for another day. I don't agree with it at all. This pass rush, even without him, you still got a lot of talent. Harold Perkins is probably the best defensive player in the country. Makai Wingo, Savion Jones, a ton of transfers coming in with Jordan Jefferson, Ovi Ogufo, Jalen Lee, Braden Swinson, Paris Shan. This is going to be a pass rush and a run defense that will be dynamic as any team we will see in the country this year. But it also starts on the ground for the LSU Tigers. When they effectively ran the ball last year, they performed really, really well when they were able to stop the opposing run games. They did really, really well. And when the latter happened, well, you can probably guess it did not fare too well for the LSU Tigers. You got to control the pace on the ground for this team. Now talking about the Florida State Seminoles, I'm just excited to watch Jordan Travis, period. He is the X factor. He can do anything you ask him to do. He can, if you want him to throw the ball 75 yards down the field, okay, he can do that. If you want him to run for a 20-yard gain on a 3rd and 17, great, he can do that. He's an X factor. He's a game wrecker. Jordan Travis is just absolutely amazing in my mind. And the size advantage of his wide receiver and tight end room is second to none in the entire country. I've mentioned some names for you, and hey, why not? I'll mention them again. Keon Coleman, the Michigan State transfer, Johnny Wilson, Winston Wright, Darian Williamson, Kentron Porter, the tight end Jaheim Bell. A lot of very good size in this wide receiver room. We'll give a challenge to an LSU secondary that has a lot of pieces to fill and is relying on some transfers, especially at corner, to kind of fill in for them here. And speaking of defense, this is the versatile pass rush for Florida State. I've mentioned names already. It's a punishing secondary, and LSU is going to have their hands full trying to get through this Florida State defensive unit. Let's talk now game prediction. The LSU Tigers are a 3.5-point favorite, at least as of recording this video. 65% is what the FPI likes them. Hey, this is a Sunday game. It's the only game going on. The college football world should be tuned into this one, and for good reason. Number 5 versus number 8. It's going to be electric in Orlando, Florida, and I think the team closest to Orlando That being the Florida State Seminoles will get the job done. I think there's too much size and skill in this wide receiver room. And while this LSU team, in time, definitely, maybe even could happen week 2 or 3, these transfers they've brought in the corner positions are going to fare really well. I think Florida State, though, has a lot of experience that's going to help them in this game with Mason Smith out. It definitely does hurt the LSU pass rush. I think the Seminoles take home the win in Orlando, Florida. In just an absolute dogfight of a showdown. So there are my thoughts on this game. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. And as always, remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.